Okay, so we're back again, day 2 of Harry Potter reading. Now, I will say that I talked to Connor. Actually, I didn't talk to Connor. Connor Google Classroomed me, and he asked if I would read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So what I was thinking was, initially, Miss Hahn and I had sort of planned to start The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on Monday through Google Classroom. So what I may do is, I was planning on meeting with you guys and doing the Zoom video thing. So on Monday, like around noon or something like that. So what we could do is we could read The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, then the section I was going to have you answer questions on, and we could read it like chapter 1 and talk about it. What do you think? Okay. So that's an option. So I'm pondering that in my head. I've got a meeting this afternoon at like 1 with Miss Burns, a Zoom meeting with her. So, and the other teachers. So if that comes up, we'll talk about that. If not, we will, I'll make it work. So I think that that's probably a good idea. I don't know. So we'll see. Okay. So Harry Potter. Now remember yesterday when we were reading, Malfoy got the Remember All from Neville, who like broke himself, and he flew away with it, and Harry was chasing him. So that's where we're going to start now. Okay. Got it? Okay. Good. Okay. He turned his broomstick sharply to face Malfoy in midair. Malfoy looked stunned. "Give it here," Harry called, "or I'll knock you off that broom." "Oh, yeah," said Malfoy, trying to sneer, but looking worried. Harry knew, somehow, what to do. He leaned forward, grasped the broom tightly in both hands, and shot towards Malfoy like a javelin. You know, a javelin in, like, track and field, the thing that you throw, and it goes, and then see how far you can throw it. Okay. Yeah, javelin throw. Okay. Malfoy only just got out of the way in time, and Harry made a sharp turn and held the broom steady. A few people below were clapping. No Crabbe and Goyle up here to save your neck, Malfoy," Harry called. The same thought seemed to have struck Malfoy. "Catch it if you can, then," he shouted, and he threw the glass ball higher into the air and streaked back towards the ground. Harry saw, as though in slow motion, the ball rise in the air and then start to fall. He leaned forward and pointed his broom handle down. The next second, he was gathering speed in a steep dive, racing toward the ball, wind whistling in his ears, mingling with the screams of people watching. He stretched out his hand. A foot up from the ground, he caught it, just in time to pull his broom straight. He toppled gently to the grass with the Remember All clutched safely in his fist. "Harry Potter!" His heart sank faster than he just dived. Professor McGonagall was running towards them. He got to his feet trembling. "Never in all my time at Hogwarts." Professor McGonagall was almost speechless with shock. "Do not eat that rabbit." Hold on just a second. "Theodore Longbottom, come and say hello to my class." "No, come say hi." "Look, Mrs. Theodore, he's trying to eat the computer cord. Can you say hi?" "No?" "Okay, well, don't eat the computer cord, rabbit." He's very shutty for a rabbit, I guess. I don't know. He's been out in the rain this morning, so he's a little damp. Stay away from the cord. He does like to eat cords a lot, so there's that. Okay, sorry, where was I? "Never in all my time at Hogwarts." Professor McGonagall was almost speechless with shock, and her glasses flashed furiously. "How dare you? You might have broken your neck." "Do you want to come and read?" "No? Okay. It wasn't his fault, Professor." Let's see who said that. "Be quiet, Miss Patel." "But Malfoy—" "That is enough, Mr. Weasley. Potter, follow me now." Harry caught sight of Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle's triumphant faces as he left, walking numbly in Professor McGonagall's wake as she strode toward the castle. He was going to be expelled. He just knew it. He wanted to say something to defend himself, but there seemed to be something wrong with his voice. Professor McGonagall was sweeping along without even looking at him. He had to jog to keep up. Now he'd done it. He hadn't even lasted 2 weeks. He'd be packing his bag in 10 minutes. What would the Dursleys say when he turned up on their doorstep? Up the front steps, up the marble staircase inside. Still, Professor McGonagall didn't say a word to him. She wrenched open the doors and marched along the corridors with Harry trotting miserably behind. Maybe she was taking him to Dumbledore. He thought of Hagrid, expelled but allowed to stay as gamekeeper. Perhaps he could be Hagrid's assistant. His stomach twisted as he imagined it, watching Ron and all the others becoming wizards while he stomped around the grounds carrying Hagrid's bag. Professor McGonagall stopped outside the classroom. She opened the door and poked her head inside. "Excuse me, Professor Flitwick, could I borrow Wood for a moment?" Wood, thought Harry, bewildered. Was Wood a cane she was going to use on him? But Wood turned out to actually be a person, a burly fifth-year boy who came out of Flitwick's class looking confused. "Follow me, you two," said Professor McGonagall, and they marched up the corridor, Wood looking furiously at Harry, because, Wood probably doesn't know what's happening either, and he thinks he's in trouble for something he didn't even do. "In here." Professor McGonagall pointed them into the classroom, which was empty except for Peeves, who was busy writing rude words on the blackboard. Remember, Peeves was the bad ghost? Look. It says, "Don't quit your daydream." One of my kids gave me that. Okay. "Out, Peeves," she barked. Peeves threw the chalk into the bin, which clanged loudly, and he swooped out, cursing. Professor McGonagall slammed the door behind him and turned to face the two boys. "Potter, this is Oliver Wood. Wood, I found you a seeker." "Are you serious, Professor?" "Absolutely," said Professor McGonagall crisply. "This boy's a natural. I've never seen anything like it. Was that your first time on a broomstick, Potter?" Harry nodded silently. He didn't have a clue what was going on, but he seemed to not be getting expelled, and some of the feeling had started to come back to his legs. He caught that thing in his hand after a 50-foot dive, Professor McGonagall told Wood. Didn't even scratch himself. Charlie Weasley couldn't even have done it. Wood was now looking as though all his dreams had come true. "Ever seen a game of Quidditch, Potter?" he asked excitedly. "Wood's the captain of the Gryffindor team," Professor McGonagall explained. "He's got the build for a seeker too," said Wood, now talking around Harry and staring at him. "He's light, he's speedy. We'll have to get him a decent broom, Professor, a Nimbus 2000 or a Clean Sweep 7, I'd say. I shall speak to Professor Dumbledore and see if we can bend the first-year rule. Heaven knows we need a better team than last year, flattened at the last match by Slytherin. I couldn't even look at Severus Snape in the face for weeks." Professor McGonagall peered sternly over her glasses at Harry. "I want to hear that you're training hard, Potter, or I may change my mind in punishing you." Then she suddenly smiled. "Your father would have been proud," she said. "He was an excellent Quidditch player himself." "You're kidding?" It was dinner time, and Harry had just finished telling Ron what happened when he'd left the grounds with Professor McGonagall. Ron had a piece of steak and kidney pie halfway into his mouth, but he'd forgotten all about it. "Seeker," he said. "But first years, never. You must be the youngest house player in about a century," said Harry, shoveling pie into his mouth. He felt particularly hungry after the excitement of the afternoon. "Wood told me." Ron was so amazed and so impressed, he just sat and gaped at Harry. "I'll start training next week," said Harry. "Only don't tell anyone, because Wood wants to keep it a secret." Fred and George Weasley had now come to the hall, spotted Harry, and hurried over. "Well done," said George in a low voice. "Wood told us we're on the team too. Beaters." "I'll tell you, we're going to win the Quidditch Cup for sure this year," said Fred. "We haven't won since Charlie left, but this year's team is going to be brilliant. You must be good, Harry. Wood was almost skipping when he told us." "Anyway, we've got to go. Lee Jordan reckons he's found us a new secret passageway out of the school." Those two kids are bad. The twins. "Bet it's the one behind the statue of Gregory the Smarmy that we found our first week here. See ya." Fred and George had hardly disappeared when someone far less welcome turned up. Malfoy, flanked by Crabbe and Goyle. Always with Crabbe and Goyle, to protect him because he's kind of a smarmy little kid. "Having your last meal, Potter. When are you getting on the train back to the Muggles?" "You're a lot braver now that you're on the ground and you've got your little friends with you," said Harry coolly. There was, of course, nothing at all little about Crabbe and Goyle, but the high table was full of teachers, and neither of them could do more than crack their knuckles and scowl. "I'd take you on any time on my own," said Malfoy. "Tonight, if you want. Wizard's duel. Wands only. No contact." "What's the matter? Never heard of a wizard's duel before, I suppose." "Of course he has," said Ron, wheeling around. "I'm his second. Who's yours?" Malfoy, looking at Crabbe and Goyle, seizing them up. "Crabbe," he said. "Midnight. All right, I'll meet you in the trophy room. It's always unlocked." When Malfoy was gone, Harry and Ron looked at each other. "What's a wizard's duel?" said Harry. "And what do you mean you're my second?" "Well, a second's usually there to take over if you die," said Ron casually, staring at his last of getting started into the last of his cold pie. Catching the look on Harry's face, he added quickly, but people only die in proper duels, you know, with real wizards. Mostly you and Malfoy will just be able to do is send sparks at each other. Neither of you knows enough magic to do any real damage. I expect he'll expect you to refuse anyway. So, you know, a duel is when two people have like a fight. And in this case, I guess they'd use their wands and have a duel that way. So your second is the person who steps in if you die, you know, to take over the fight. And what if I wave my wand and nothing happens? Throw it away and punch him in the nose, said Ron. Excuse me? They both looked up. It was Hermione Granger. Can't a person eat in peace in this place, said Ron. Hermione ignored him and spoke to Harry. I couldn't help overhearing what you and Malfoy were saying. Bet you couldn't, said Ron. And you mustn't go wandering in the school at night. Think of the points you'll lose Gryffindor if you're caught. You're bound to be. It's really, really very selfish of you. And it's really none of your business, said Harry. Goodbye, said Ron. Okay, so that is what we'll read for today. So I've got a new plan. I'm going to put this on. Where's my pencil? Do I have it in my hair? No. I'm going to put this on YouTube and have the YouTube connection because that way, since it's longer, it'll be okay. So again, you have 2 ReadWorks assignments that I assigned to you guys this week. Those I've been going through the ones that are in and checking and putting comments on your constructed responses. Remember, constructed responses are always race, restate, answer the question, give evidence. I've seen some of you who haven't done that. So I want to go ahead and get those done and turned in. And I'll post something on Google Classroom, so keep checking that for our Zoom meeting on Monday, when I'll do some Harry Potter reading, and do that like this. And then for our Zoom meeting, we'll probably do and talk about, read and talk about some Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So I miss you guys. Have a great day and a great weekend. I will post some Harry Potter this weekend, and then we'll Zoom on Monday. Okay, talk to you later. Bye, guys. Love your faces.